The Frog Prince. In olden times, when wishing was some good, there lived a king whose daughters were all beautiful. But the youngest was so lovely that even the sun, who had looked on many things, could not but marvel when he shone on her face. Near the king's palace there was a large dark forest, and in the forest, under an old lime tree, was a well. When the day was very hot, the princess used to go into the forest and sit on the edge of this cool well. And when she was tired of doing nothing, she would play with a golden ball, throwing it up in the air and catching it. And this was her favorite game. Now on one occasion it so happened that the ball did not fall back into the hand she had stretched up to catch it, but dropped to the ground and rolled straight into the well. The princess followed it with her eyes, but it disappeared, for the well was so very deep it was quite impossible to see the bottom. Then she began to cry bitterly, and nothing would comfort her. As she was lamenting in this manner, someone called out to her, "What's the matter, princess? Your tears would move a heart of stone." She looked round towards the spot whence the voice came, and saw a frog stretching its broad, ugly face out of the water. "Oh, it's you, is it, old splasher? I am crying for my golden ball which has fallen into the water." "Be quiet then and stop crying," answered the frog. "I know what to do. But what will you give me if I get you back your plaything?" "Whatever you like, you dear old frog," she said. "My clothes, my pearls and diamonds, even the golden crown upon my head." The frog answered, "I care neither for your clothes, your pearls and diamonds, nor even your golden crown. But if you will be fond of me, and let me be your friend, sit by you at the table, eat out of your plate, drink out of your cup, and sleep in your little bed, if you will promise to do all this, I'll go down and fetch your ball." "I'll promise anything you care to ask, if only you'll get me back my ball." She thought, "What is the silly old frog chattering about? He lives in the well, croaking with other frogs. He can't be the companion of a human being." As soon as the frog had extracted this promise, he ducked his head under the water and disappeared. After a little while, back he came with the ball in his mouth, and threw it onto the grass beside her. The princess was full of joy when she saw her pretty toy again, picked it up and ran off with it. "Wait, wait," cried the frog. "Take me with you, I can't run as fast as you can." But what was the good of his crying, "Croak, croak," as loud as he could? She didn't listen to him, but hurried home, and forgot all about the poor frog, and he had to go back to his well. The next day, as she was sitting at dinner with the king and all the courtiers, eating from her golden plate, something came flopping up the stairs. Flip, flap, flip, flap. When it reached the top, it knocked at the door and cried, "Youngest daughter of the king, you must let me in." She ran to see who it was. When she opened the door and saw the frog, she shut it again very quickly and went back to the table, for she was very much frightened. The king saw that her heart was beating very fast, and he said, "My child, what is the matter? Is there a giant at the door wanting to carry you off?" "Oh no," she said, "it's not a giant, but a hideous frog." "What does the frog want with you?" "Oh, father, dear father, last night when I was playing by the well in the forest, my golden ball fell into the water, and I cried, and the frog got it out for me, and then, because he insisted on it, I promised that he should be my friend. But I never thought he would come out of the water, and now there he is, and he wants to come in to me." He knocked at the door for the second time, and sang, "Youngest daughter of the king, take me up, I sing. Know'st thou not what yesterday thou to me didst say? By the well in the forest dell, youngest daughter of the king, take me up, I sing." Then said the king, "What you have promised you must perform. Go and open the door for him." So she opened the door, and the frog shuffled in, keeping close to her feet till he reached her chair. Then he cried, "Lift me up beside you!" She hesitated till the king ordered her to do it. When the frog was put on the chair, he demanded to be placed upon the table. And then he said, "Push your golden plate near so that we can eat together." She did as she was asked, but very unwillingly, as could easily be seen. The frog made a good dinner, but the princess could not swallow a morsel. At last he said, "I have eaten enough and I'm tired. Carry me into your room and arrange your silken bed so that we may sleep." The princess began to cry, for she was afraid of the clammy frog, which she dared not touch, and which was now to sleep in her pretty little silken bed. But the king grew very angry and said, "You must not despise anyone who has helped you in your need." So she seized him with 2 fingers and carried him upstairs, where she put him in the corner of her room. When she got into bed, he crept up to her and said, "I'm tired and I want to go to sleep too. Lift me up or I will tell your father." She was very angry, picked him up and threw him with all her might against the wall, saying, "Sleep as well as you can over there, you hideous frog." When he fell to the ground, he was no longer a hideous frog, but a handsome prince with beautiful friendly eyes. And at her father's wish, he became her beloved companion and husband. He told her that he had been bewitched by a wicked fairy, and nobody could have released him from the spells but she herself. Next morning, when the sun rose, a coach drove up drawn by 8 milk-white horses with white ostrich plums on their heads in golden harness. Behind stood faithful Henry, the prince's servant. The faithful fellow had been so distressed when his master was changed into a frog that he had caused 3 iron bands to be placed around his heart, lest it should break from grief and pain. They had only gone a little way when the prince heard a cracking behind him, as if something were breaking. He turned around and cried, "Henry, the coach is giving way." "No, sir, the coach is safe, I say. A band from my heart has fallen in twain. For long I suffered woe and pain, while you, my prince, a frog within a well, enchanted were by a witch's spell." Once more he heard the same snapping and cracking, and then again. The prince thought it must be some part of the carriage giving way, but it was only the bands round faithful Henry's heart which were snapping, because of his great joy at his master's deliverance and happiness.